Here's some kind of secrets, hints, and tips to share. So like I've been saying, so clear and personal and genuine answers. So of course, you're always being truthful. You're always being honest. You're being yourself. You're trying to let your personality shine through. Um, you want to explain to the officer why you selected this program in this university. Why was it important to you? Don't talk about other people. Well, they chose this university. That kind of thing. It's all about you, because you are the one applying for the visa. You are the one who needs to demonstrate that you're qualified. Um, you're talking about your background and your future goals. So what have you done in the past? And then how does that link to what you want to do now in terms of your studies in America? And then what are your future career goals, back in your home country? So, kind of telling that narrative. You are telling a story to the consular officer, a story about yourself. Be natural when you speak. You know, don't sound memorized or rehearsed. I know that when I was working in India and doing this type of work, so many folks, so many student visa applicants would come up to the window and they would sort of start in on a memorized speech, a prepared speech. And I know that they always meant well. And I think that they were probably being coached by friends and family, or other folks who said, oh, if you say this, if you stick to the script, then you'll get your visa. And it was always very apparent to all of us on the visa line when people were very scripted, and when they couldn't sort of get off their script, when they had to sort of stick to it, and they couldn't really get them off it. And it just created a really negative impression, to the visa officer. And those folks would almost always get refused. And so the best thing to do is to just know your story inside and out, know yourself and your goals and your narrative, and be able to answer the questions that come, and sharing about your highlights and your positive points, and being able to kind of get off that script. Because if you sound really robotic and really memorized and rehearsed, then it's going to be really difficult for you to get your visa. So definitely don't go in there sort of prepared to deliver a speech, because that's not the best way to communicate with the consular officer. And finally, you got to show that clarity and that sort of purpose, and that you've really planned for this. This is something that you've been working towards. You've been taking tests, you've been applying to universities, you've been preparing. This is part of your strategic plan for your future, and you have to communicate that to the visa officer in that short amount of time. So, that's really the sort of, if there is a secret, but there's no sort of one way to go about it, because everybody's situation is so unique. Every person's path is individual. So you have to think about, how do I think about myself and my reasons why, and then how do I communicate that to the visa officer.